Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with the Stage 2 Major on the horizon, there's been some questions raised from Paulx especially and some other players around the scene these last few days regarding snaking in the game right now. The Major's just around the corner. This is the final day or the final tournament that we're going to have before this patch update comes in, which nerfed snaking to some degree. Are we going to see snakes all over the map? That is certainly, well, the threat at the present time. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Also, big thank you to Draftbuff for sponsoring today's video. Wanted to give a shout out to Nevo winning last week, so I mean 1 out of 5, 725. Not bad at all. Formal, Shotzzy, Cellium, Standy, Dashy, OpTic Chicago as the main team. Phenomenal lineup he put together last week. This week I've gone for this squad: Cellium, Huke, Dashy. I mean, Huke's really cheap right now, but they don't have the easiest run of things, I suppose, in the winners bracket. I've taken a bit of a gamble on Kenny as well, saying in this new main assault rifle role, he may well be at a pretty good spot right now. But if you guys want to get involved in the draft royale, feel free to join at the link in the description and the pinned comment below. And well, I think there's like almost 6,000 people in there now. Incredible to see. If you want to beat my team, which I'm sure you won't have too much of a hard time doing, feel free to do so and get involved, all that good stuff. Let's talk about this then, first of all, from Envy. They come out with this yesterday. Welcome Tyler Teep to, well, the Envy organization, of course. They've been signing a fair few content creators as of late. Call of Duty World Champion, now Warzone Legends. TeePee joins the team. Interesting, right? Because he's worked with OpTic Gaming in the past. He's been their coach for a couple of years. You'd have thought that maybe it makes sense with Karma joining this squad. Also, that, you know, TeePee might end up joining OpTic. Doesn't happen. He joins Envy. Of course, he's played for Envy as well in the past. I mean, I think he played for Envy actually in Black Ops 3 before he then retired early on in that season. But you've got to wonder whether something more's going on here than just Teep joining as the content creator and as, you know, Warzone player for this squad, because he's been a coach in the past. Now, look, Rambo is also the, you know, the main man, the main coach, the main general manager, effectively, over at that Dallas Empire squad, but they have been having issues with their search and destroy. And you wonder that whether, okay, Teep comes in here and at least in some capacity is involved in trying to, well, help analyze for this team to some degree. In a similar way that OpTic have Cinder, of course, as their main coach, but Karma's kind of sitting there as potentially an analyst at some point if they need him. He's kind of, Karma's been talking on stream lately, the fact that if the OpTic guys need him, like, you know, he's there to give his input and give his advice in certain situations, and maybe Teep could find himself in a similar boat right here. Okay, most of the time he's a content creator, maybe he's just playing, you know, playing at the same facility as the rest of the guys are playing in, so maybe he can help out to some degree and cross-pollinate with the rest of the lineup. Interesting move. Congratulations to TeePee certainly for making this one work. And also this that comes out from Decimate. New team again. I'm pretty sure that he was on like the Fantastic Four team that won the Elite, and now he's gone off the team, supposedly going somewhere else. There's honestly chaos in the challenger scene right now, so it's tough to break it all down exactly what this means and what's going on. Supposedly he might be in rumours for consideration for some professional team. I'm not exactly sure what team that is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised at all after this major that Decimate somehow finds his way into the CDL. One of those players that's been there in the past. I mean, it was been on the Envy organization, for example, the Black Ops 4 World Championship. Didn't exactly work out too well for him at that event, but he's probably one of the final players that are really in consideration in terms of top SMG talent in the Challenger region that might have a shot to get onto the Pro League, at least in that North American region. So interesting to see how that one develops. This comes out from Waskin as well. All I gotta say is that I won't stop until I am back, no matter how long it takes. So Waskin really, well, on the grinds to get his way back into the Pro League. If expansion comes in next year, I think it's certainly possible, but it's tough being a main AR right now. I mean, Methods is on the bench, Slash is on the bench, there's so many talented players out there on the bench as well. Crazy CDL league we live in right now. This comes out interestingly from round 11 stats as well. S&D retake win percentage. Now, of course, this depends to some degree on what maps you play and how easy it is to retake, but impressive the fundamentals from Los Angeles Guerrillas. Then again, you can say, okay, the fundamentals from Thieves are looking pretty good at a 39% retake win percentage, but maybe that is, well, not necessarily representative of the reality of their search and destroy performances, but Guerrillas almost retake 50% of their bomb sites, which is pretty impressive. FaZe down here at 38%, so this effectively is when you're on the defense and the offense plant. How often do you manage to win that round? Maybe if you're a team like FaZe, a lot of the time you just play to stop them planting, therefore, like, once they do get the bomb down, you've pretty much lost all your players, and therefore there's no chance to retake. So there's definitely some interesting, well, how you look at the whole retake win percentage right here. Subliners down at the bottom, because maybe they play a slightly different style to where they're just going to set up quite pushed up on the map, and if they kill all of you, then okay, they're probably going to get the bomb down in a 1 versus 3, and there's no chance to win the round, rather than as some teams certainly play for retakes a little bit more often and try and execute a 4 versus 4 retake or something of the sort. Let's talk about the whole snaking situation then. So as Vivid says back in, well, the middle of March, seeing a lot more snake movements going on around the map, and we see it from time to time, certainly in the pro play. These last couple of weeks it hasn't been as bad as it was, let's say, at the start of March, when it was really going back and forth. I mean, that FaZe versus Paris series, you guys might remember, like I said, Cellium was maybe doing some questionable things, then Aqua and I think it was Aqua, maybe Fire came back with the fire, certainly, with the, well, bobbing up and down behind some head glitches to great effect. Now, we go into the major here. This is the final tournament before the kind of snaking nerf officially comes into play, because it's now in the game, and it certainly does affect when you're bobbing up and down behind head glitches and stuff. Not if you're doing like the really obnoxious lay down, stand up type of snake, but if you're just crouching up and down, it is more challenging to do that right now since the latest patch update. I'm sure you guys may have noticed. Before this major for stage 2, we're still going to be playing on the old patch. So there is some questions as to whether we're really going to see some snaking coming into play, because Paulix on the London team says this yesterday: do not care anymore, it is time to start snaking. And well, he says in reply some pretty interesting stuff, as well, Simp comes out in reply right here, because of course the FaZe guys are not necessarily notorious for it. I mean, it's called Cellium specifically that people talk about on the FaZe side. Also DiamondCon as well on New York has been some discussion as well. Those two players have well, definitely used it their fair share of times so far this season to great effect. It's not considered necessarily a great sportsman-like thing to do. A lot of pro players don't particularly like it. A lot of pro players, I mean, we even talked not too long ago the fact that some people were supposedly threatening to start breaking GAs if snaking did continue, but maybe this is the final hurrah that snaking really has so far this year, so players might decide, alright, it's time to abuse it for all the cash, given that of course there is a lot of money on the line. Certainly, we saw this come out as Crone talked about, a couple of days ago now. Slightly reduced speed of changing from stand, crouch, prone. Additional adjustments coming relatively soon as well. So snaking has been nerfed to some degree, but well, the patch update only really comes in for the pros after this stage. They always play on exactly the same patch for the entirety of the stage, and then after it's concluded, then they're going to try out the new 74U and the Milano supposedly potentially coming into the meta. Who really knows? I don't really think too much is going to change on that side, to be honest. I think just the Krieg are going to see a little bit more of that, and the 74U getting nerfed somewhat. I'm pretty sure the Muscle Break will be coming back in, but we'll have to see what the pros exactly make of the new meta when the major does conclude, and maybe snaking won't be too much of an issue to talk about anymore. But we've seen DiamondCon saying right here, you want to know what's not it? Me just sitting there letting them do it to me, and me just standing there and getting destroyed. So Paul talking about the fact that, okay, people on the other teams in the Pro League, in the scrims and such in the last few days have been, well, abusing snaking against him. He's pretty frustrated about it. It's time to start abusing the snaking mechanic in the game right now, and to, well, go to its full extent, right? And if this does start happening, it pretty much happened at the Stage 1 playoffs of Infinite Warfare, when everyone was snaking all over the map. It wasn't the best viewer experience by any means, but well, if it's a kind of snake or be snaked in that sense, right? If someone's going to do it to you and you're not abusing it back, you're putting yourself at something of a disadvantage when it is a mechanic which technically is allowed in the game, even though, well, we wish there was a way to get rid of it, which Trek have tried to do certainly, but the Stage 2 major, it still will be possible to abuse this in full force as it has been. But as Clay says, he's kind of always been in favour of, not necessarily, well, he doesn't want to GA stuff by any means at all. It's a difficult thing to GA anyway, because if someone slides to a head glitch and then stands up, is that really a snake? Not really. But if you do it kind of repeatedly, I mean, if you do it 2 times, is that a snake? If you do it 3 times, are you now snaking? There's always questions about that. But as he says right here, why does everyone keep saying snaking? They call people snaking. It is allowed. Slasher says in reply that the fact that it is acceptable nowadays is absolutely wild to me. But Clay kind of getting across the idea that, well, it's allowed in the game. Why not just abuse it? He talked about this a while ago as well. DiamondCon, we know, has kind of, well, had a good time abusing it as well. In some of the matches we saw against OpTic especially, that was when his mentions kind of blew up at the time. This is pretty funny as well. Arcitys was doing this on stream just for, entertainment purposes. But, completely snaking every single head glitch you are ever going to see. And this is effectively what it looks like if you guys aren't sure. And so the reason why this is so effective is because there is a disparity between the first person view what Arcitys sees when he's doing this and between what the other guy sees when he comes around the corner, right? So hopefully we won't just be seeing this every single time this weekend. It hasn't been too much of an issue as of late, but well, supposedly Paul's kind of frustrated people are using it in scrims and such these last few days and thinking that, oh well, maybe he'll have to do it to the greatest of his ability to get over the line this weekend, because London not looking so great, and maybe this is something that you think, alright, well, if we're in a little bit of a tough spot, we play it up against FaZe or something, it's time to start pulling out all the big guns to get the job done in the series. A few more interesting things I wanted to mention as well. I noticed this on Reddit again yesterday. I just thought I'd mention it because yesterday we were talking about checkmate, obviously, and some of the issues on this map. We saw this a number of times when people's foot would just stick through the wall right here. If you're laying down on this plane wing and you're kind of aiming yourself to the right to see the hop up if someone hops up, then well, your foot can kind of merge through this wall. This is always an issue that happens every single Call of Duty, I swear. But I don't think we've been seeing too many players use this spot until now, where on defense a lot of players seem to sit here because I suppose it's an ideal spot to, look through the window and stop them planting if they happen to be. But the problem is if you're the offense, you might actually see this guy and can just wall bang him straight through the wall. And well, another image of it right here where Huke's trying to lay in this spot and you can see him kind of merging through the wall. I think people even maybe did see it in the game, but they weren't maybe quick enough to take advantage of it or something. It's a pretty frustrating thing to have to deal with, but at the same time you could argue that offense defense is already hard enough on this map. Maybe this is a, you know, completely fair and balanced track of deliberately decided to put this in the game so that offense get it a little bit easier. Thought this is interesting as well, as Chrome points out, starting roster changes so far this season. In, Neptune has come in, Diamond Con's come in, Standy, Insight, Venom, Porlex, Zed, Drazah, and Parasite at times. That's a lot of roster changes already this season, given we're only at the stage 2 major. And out, I mean, Havoc, you know, came out unfortunately before the season even began. Zuma had to step out due to injury. Of course, a number of these players have they had to step out for reasons outside of their control necessarily. Of course, the zero visa situation. Alex had to go home for personal reasons. But a MajorManiak, Temp, I mean, Methods, Parasite, and Slasher. It's kind of funny that Parasite, of all players, to be the one who's also come in and gone out. It's Parasite. I mean, yeah, the amount of teams this guy's been on in his career is absolutely phenomenal. Back on a Wester, as we talked about earlier today as well. But so, yeah, hopefully he has some great success and can find a team that he can settle down with long term, because I think he's a great player. But some of these names that are stepping out of lineups are just not ones that I would necessarily expect. A number of AR players as well, with Maniac coming out. I mean, you know, Slasher and Parasite as well. Methods, of course. So really interesting to see, and I do wonder what change will be next. So will Thieves make another change? Will other lineups look to make changes? I'm sure that some are looking to make changes if this stage doesn't go so well. If you're, you know, a team that's towards the bottom of the pack and you're having a difficult time getting top 8 to make it to the World Championship, are you thinking, all right, well, maybe now it's time to make a switch up, especially given, you know, a lot of people, I'm sure, looking at a team like Minnesota are looking at their change they made minus Maniac plus Standy and thinking, wow, this is clearly the move to shake this team up. And well, it's obviously had great success for them going into the major these next couple of days. I'll play this for you on screen at the end of the video. I thought this is pretty incredible as well. The comms from OpTic Chicago side for the most insane 1v1 so far this year, that being, of course, Scump versus Shotzzy. And well, the replies from the OpTic side were pretty entertaining stuff. I think that there was a comms video the CDL did, and right at the start of it, there was Scump talking about how, okay, like, let's kind of ego chal these guys, but let's not chal when we're one shot, like, let's make reasonable plays. And then all of a sudden, right in the game 5, we see Scump just flying out here to challenge Shotzzy while he's absolute one shot and winning the gunfight in remarkable fashion. And just to kind of get you guys ready for the major, which kicks off tomorrow on the Wednesday, this is the bracket, of course. So on the bottom side, I mean, Thieves make this new roster change. They play Legion. If they win that, they play Ravens. If they win that, they play someone from the winners bracket. And regardless of what happens here, it's going to be a very scary bracket this weekend. I'm not even sure how to predict it, to be honest. There's so many great games that are coming up. But I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts on all this stuff we discussed today in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Like you enjoyed this content, other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.
15 to go.
Low wing, low left wing.
Scump.
Yeah, he's to the right, like yellow side.
In this position.
Right here, right there.
They see each other.
He saw you.
Around and around we go. Ring around the rosy.
Chasing
Who's
you.
Gonna hit the shot?
Let's go! Shotzzy. Listen, don't give him a free round. Yes. No freebies. Yo, lock this D down, yo, boys. No freebies, alright?